You spray, you dust, you scatter pellets around your tomatoes at 9 o'clock at night with a flashlight because something ate half your crop while you were sleeping. And the next morning, you walk out to find the slugs are back, the aphids have multiplied, and that expensive bottle of organic pesticide did absolutely nothing. Sound familiar? Now here is the part that should bother you. About 60 miles west of Philadelphia, there is an Amish farmer who has not purchased a single pest control product in his entire life. Not one bottle, not one bag, not one pellet. His garden is clean, productive, and practically pest-free. And he would not even understand the question if you asked him what brand he uses. Because to him, buying something to kill bugs is like buying something to make the sun rise. It is a solution to a problem he does not have. So what does he know that we do not? Is it some old-fashioned secret passed down from generation to generation? Or have we been approaching pest control completely backward this whole time? My name is Dennis Harwell. I have been gardening for over 30 years, and I spent most of those years doing exactly what you are probably doing right now. Fighting bugs, spending money, losing that fight more often than I care to admit. I once bought 4 different organic sprays in a single season, convinced that the next bottle would be the one that finally worked. None of them did. Not permanently. And then I started paying attention to how the Amish do it, not reading about it in some book written by someone who visited a farm once. Actually watching, actually talking to these folks at the produce stands and the farm auctions here in Pennsylvania, asking real questions and getting answers that made me rethink decades of assumptions. And what I learned did not just change my garden. It made me embarrassed about how much money I had wasted on products that were never going to work long-term anyway. In this video, I am going to walk you through 5 Amish pest control methods that use 0 chemicals. These are not theories. These are not trendy gardening hacks. These are practices that have kept Amish gardens productive for generations, and every single one of them is backed by soil science and entomology. You can start using most of them this season. Let us get into it. Understanding the philosophy. Gelassenheit. Before we get to the practical steps, I need to share something that changed how I think about gardening entirely. The Amish have a word, Gelassenheit. Gelassenheit. It does not translate perfectly into English, but the closest meaning is yielding, submission to the natural order. Letting things work the way they were designed to work instead of forcing your will onto them. Now, I am a retired science teacher. My instinct has always been to identify a problem and attack it directly. Bug on my plant, kill the bug. Simple, logical, wrong. What Gelassenheit taught me, and what the Amish have practiced for centuries, is that pest problems are not really pest problems. They are balance problems. When your garden ecosystem is in balance, pests regulate themselves. When it is out of balance, no amount of spraying, organic or otherwise, will fix it for more than a few days. An Amish farmer I spoke with in Lancaster County put it this way. He said, "If you have to fight your garden, you built it wrong." That sentence stuck with me for months. Because he was right. I had been building my garden wrong for 25 years. So let me show you how to build it right. Step 1. Build the soil first, and the plants will defend themselves. Here is something that took me way too long to understand. Healthy plants resist pests on their own. A tomato plant growing in rich, biologically active soil produces more of its own natural defense compounds than a tomato plant struggling in depleted dirt. The Amish know this instinctively because they have been building their soil for generations without synthetic fertilizers. But the science confirms it completely. Research from multiple university agricultural extension programs has shown that plants grown in compost-amended, biologically diverse soil have significantly higher resistance to common pests like aphids, white flies, and spider mites. So, what does this look like in practice? The Amish build their soil with 3 things: aged animal manure, homemade compost, and cover crops. If you do not have access to horse or cow manure, and most of us do not, kitchen compost works beautifully. The key is volume and consistency. You want to be adding 2 to 3 inches of finished compost to your beds every single spring, and ideally again in the fall. Work it into the top 6 to 8 inches of soil. Do not just lay it on top. For cover crops, plant crimson clover or winter rye in the fall after you clear your beds. These crops protect the soil through winter, prevent erosion, and when you turn them under in spring, they add organic matter and nitrogen that feeds the microbial life your plants depend on. That microbial life is the secret weapon here. Healthy soil is not just dirt with nutrients in it. It is a living system with billions of organisms that help your plants absorb nutrition and fight off disease. The Amish have been feeding that system for generations. Most of us have been ignoring it or actively killing it with synthetic products. Start feeding your soil this season, and by next year, you will notice a genuine difference in how your plants handle pest pressure. Step 2. Rotate your crops like clockwork. This one sounds basic, and I know some of you are already doing some version of it. But I want to challenge you, because the way most home gardeners rotate crops is not the way the Amish do it, and the difference matters. Most of us think crop rotation means do not plant tomatoes in the same spot 2 years in a row. That is a start, but the Amish work on a strict 3 to 4 year rotation, and they rotate by plant family, not just by individual crop. Here's why this matters. Tomato hornworms, Colorado potato beetles, and many other common garden pests overwinter in the soil right where their host plants were growing. Their larvae and pupae are sitting in the top few inches of that bed, waiting. If you plant the same family of crops in that spot the next spring, you are essentially laying out a welcome mat and a buffet table. The Amish rotation works like this. Year 1, you plant your heavy feeders, tomatoes, peppers, squash, corn. Year 2, that same bed gets legumes, beans, peas, lentils. These fix nitrogen back into the soil that the heavy feeders used up. Year 3, you plant root vegetables, carrots, beets, radishes, onions. These break up compacted soil and are from completely different plant families than years 1 and 2. Year 4, that bed rests under a cover crop or gets a heavy application of compost. Then the cycle starts over. I will be honest, I resisted this for years because I only have 4 raised beds and I wanted tomatoes in all of them. But once I committed to a proper rotation, my pest pressure dropped noticeably within 2 seasons. Not perfectly, not to zero, but the kind of improvement that made me realize the bugs were never the real problem. My laziness about rotation was the real problem. Step 3. Plant partners, not monocultures. Walk through any Amish garden and the first thing you will notice is that nothing is planted alone. Their beds look almost messy compared to the neat single crop rows most of us plant. But that mess is deliberate, and it is one of the most powerful pest control strategies that exists. This is companion planting, and the Amish have been practicing it long before it had a trendy name. The principle is simple. Certain plants repel specific pests when grown next to the crops those pests target. Other plants attract beneficial insects that eat the pests. And some plants improve the soil for their neighbors. When you combine these strategically, you create a garden that manages its own pest problems. Here are the specific combinations I learned from Amish growers and have confirmed work in my own garden. Plant basil directly alongside your tomatoes, spaced about 12 to 15 inches apart. Basil repels tomato hornworms, aphids, and whiteflies. The volatile oils in basil leaves are genuinely offensive to these insects. Plant dill and fennel near your cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. These herbs attract parasitic wasps that lay their eggs inside cabbage worms. It sounds gruesome, but it is incredibly effective biological control. Marigolds are not just decoration. Plant French marigolds throughout your vegetable beds, especially near squash and cucumbers. Their roots release a compound called alpha-terthianol that kills root knot nematodes in the soil, and their strong scent confuses and repels squash bugs and cucumber beetles. And then there is the Three Sisters method, which the Amish adopted from indigenous American farming traditions: corn, beans, and squash planted together. The corn provides a structure for beans to climb. The beans fix nitrogen that feeds the corn and squash. And the squash spreads its broad, prickly leaves across the ground, creating shade that suppresses weeds and a physical barrier that deters many crawling pests. This is not philosophy, this is engineering. 3 crops solving each other's problems simultaneously. I planted my first Three Sisters bed 6 years ago, and it is now a permanent part of my rotation. Step 4. Invite the right bugs to dinner. Here is where I have to challenge something most gardeners believe without questioning it. We think of insects as the enemy, all of them. But the Amish understand something that entomologists have been confirming for decades. Only about 3% of insect species in your garden are actually harmful to your crops. The other 97% are either neutral or actively beneficial. When you spray a pesticide, even an organic one, you kill everything. The 3% you are targeting and the 97% that were protecting you. A single ladybug eats up to 5,000 aphids in its lifetime. One green lacewing larva can consume 200 aphids in a single week. Parasitic wasps, ground beetles, hoverflies. These are your unpaid workforce, and they will show up reliably if you give them a reason to stay. The Amish do this by planting what I call an insectary border. Along the edges of their vegetable gardens, they plant yarrow, sweet alyssum, dill that they allow to flower, Queen Anne's lace, and clover. These plants provide nectar and pollen for beneficial insects throughout the entire growing season. You need continuous bloom from early spring through fall. One flowering plant is not enough. You need a succession. You also need to leave some habitat. A small brush pile at the garden's edge, a patch of unmowed grass, a few flat stones where ground beetles can shelter during the day. I know this feels counterintuitive. We have been trained to keep gardens perfectly tidy. But a too clean garden is a dead garden in terms of beneficial insect habitat. The Amish gardens I have visited all have these little wild edges, and those edges are doing more pest control work than any product you could buy. Give it one full growing season, let the beneficial insect population establish itself. By year 2, you will see the balance shift in a way that honestly surprised me even after reading the research. Step 5. The homemade spray. That actually works now, even with all of this in place. There are times when you need to intervene directly. A sudden aphid explosion on your pepper plants, a wave of flea beetles on your eggplant seedlings. The Amish do not just sit there and watch their crops get eaten, but their intervention is targeted, homemade, and designed not to harm the beneficial insects they depend on. Here is the exact recipe I was given by an Amish grower near Intercourse, Pennsylvania, and I have used it successfully for the past 4 seasons. Take 5 or 6 cloves of garlic and 2 hot peppers. Cayenne works well, or any hot pepper you're growing. Chop them roughly and add them to 1 quart of water in a glass jar. Let this steep for 24 to 48 hours. Then strain it through cheesecloth into a spray bottle and add 1 teaspoon of plain liquid dish soap. Not antibacterial, not scented, just basic soap. The soap helps the spray stick to the leaves instead of beading off. Spray this directly on the affected plants, focusing on the undersides of leaves where aphids and whiteflies hide. Apply it in the early morning or late evening, never in direct midday sun, as it can burn wet foliage. Reapply after rain. Now I want to be straight with you about what this spray does and does not do. It repels soft-bodied insects effectively. Aphids, whiteflies, spider mites, and flea. Beetles all dislike it intensely, but it is not going to stop a Japanese beetle invasion or eliminate a serious tomato hornworm problem on its own. For hornworms, the Amish simply handpick them at dawn when they are sluggish. For Japanese beetles, they use physical row covers during peak beetle season in June and July. The spray is one tool, not the only tool, and that honesty is important because if I told you this one recipe solves everything, I would be lying to you, and this audience is too smart for that. So here's what you can realistically expect. If you implement all 5 of these methods, you are not going to have a pest-free garden by August. That is not how ecosystems work, and anyone who promises that is selling you something. What you will see is a meaningful reduction in pest damage over 1 to 2 full growing seasons. Your soil will improve. Your beneficial insect population will build. Your plants will be healthier and more resilient. And here's what I did not expect when I started down this road. I actually enjoy gardening more now. There is something deeply satisfying about walking through a garden that is managing itself, where you can see the ladybugs doing their work, where the basil next to your tomatoes is earning its keep. It feels like partnership instead of warfare. The Amish did not develop these methods because they read a gardening blog. They developed them because chemicals were never an option, and they had to find what actually works when you cannot just spray your way out of a problem. And after 30 years of gardening, I can tell you that what works is what we just covered. Build the soil, Rotate with discipline, plant companions. Welcome the beneficial insects and intervene gently when you must. If you are gardening in zones 3 through 5, you will want to adjust your companion planting timing. Wait until soil temperatures are consistently above 50 degrees Fahrenheit before interplanting warm season companions, like basil. In zones 8 and 9, you can get a head start by planting your insectary border as early as February. The principles are the same everywhere. The calendar shifts depending on where you live. I want to leave you with something that Amish farmer said to me. If you have to fight your garden, you built it wrong. You do not have to fight your garden. You just have to build it the way nature intended, and that starts with one decision. Pick one of these 5 steps, just one, and commit to it this season. You do not have to overhaul everything at once. Start with the soil, or start with companion planting, or just stop spraying for one season and see what the beneficial insects do when you give them a chance. I think you will be surprised. I know I was. If this changed the way you think about pest control, share it with a fellow gardener who is still fighting that losing battle with a spray bottle. And drop a comment telling me which step you are going to try first. I read every single one. I will see you in the next video.